Welcome to Sleep Atomic, and we're reviewing The Mandalorian, Chapter 15, The Believer. And we last left off, and The Mandalorian was recruiting Cara Dune after Boba Fett and Fennec was recruited to a common cause by just promise. And they are now wayward to find Mayfield, and they need Mayfield because he's a ex-Imperial persons to get the coordinates of the location of Grogu, or the little green guy Mayfield eventually asked about. But the stipulation here is that Mayfield needs to get to an Imperial terminal. I guess the closest one is on Morag, which is pretty much gets this reaction from like Cara Dune, Boba Fett, and our Mandalorians. Like, there's what's there? There's nothing there. It's like, oh, there's this secret base mining facility that they have on there. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I guess we'll check. Even though, like, it does look like he's gonna pull a fast one. Like, they just like get led to some planet and they get like ambushed by something that he knows is there, so he just makes his way off. But eventually, on Boba Fett's ship, they get to Morak and get a scan, and it's, oh, okay, the base is there. And this is pretty much the last time you're like a little suspicious on him, because like he has you so uh, entranced with Mayfield, Bill Burr's character, that you kind of like forget to and forget to be suspicious, and he's already like on the ball, like pragmatic enough to like you realize he's gonna like follow through with everything, and everything's getting done, and all of a sudden you were like kind of like leapt into Bill Burr's like dialogue, kind of like his person, and he's just kind of like making comments and like all this obvious stuff, kind of like as two people are like when they're like facing one direction, like looking at something, like you're at the museum or like looking out the windshield of the car as they are, but as they are later, like they have to hijack a transport of rhydonium that the stormtroopers are uh, relocating to the main base. I'm sure it came from a mine. It's apparently very volatile and explosive, and he tries to make a joke there with Boba Fett, but he's like not having it. He's like, I don't know you. I'm not trying to do. It's like I get it. Not to ground it too much, but it gets a little bit of this like, okay, we're all at work, but obviously we didn't like pick each other to be here, but we do this, we do that. But the I forget the ship's name, but Boba Fett's ship is the getaway, and then Cara Dune and Fennec are on the ridge trying to clear the way for Din Djarin and Mayfield. They decide eventually because there's this ISP scanner that will get your genetics, whatever. So you can't just like go in there if you're wanted by the ISB, the Imperial Security Bureau. At least I think they are in Andor too. I believe so. There's too many abbreviations, but I do. But uh, this episode, I was trying to say, is highlighting Bill Burr's person character. I guess even general area, because where he's from, like a lot of people are like that. Like history, like cemented it in there with the accent. But as established as I believe Boston is, it's not really something he knows the answer to. It might be from like the the genesis of Boston, like, forever ago or something, but he's lets you know about himself like as they're driving after they hijack the transport thing. They're supposed to be Juggernaut 5. I thought this would be like a major problem, but eventually they kind of like figure out it's like, oh, there's Juggernaut 3 and Juggernaut 4 ahead of them. Keep a stable speed. And there's like a little readout to see the fuel or whatever they mined might like get set off. There's like green, yellow. There's like these three little bars, like it's a like battery or something. But they're driving. They go through like a little village, and they're like, "Brr, brr." It's like, man, they the outsiders are just outsiders to them. It doesn't matter if it's the Empire, the New Republic, just kind of like not mentioning the fact that they probably like just don't like anyone, or just, or also it could lead out to them just like being blissfully oblivious, but they're like looking out the window like a long car trip would happen. Din Djarin's kind of like looking out, and he's like, oh, okay. He's like, yeah, we're survivors, like, blah, blah, blah. And he, like, got in, like, a little too far with the common ground that, Bill Burr's kind of, like, speaking for both of them for. And he's like, no, like, I'm letting you know now, like, we're not bonding. It's like, I hate bonding. Like, I never even heard of it before. And like, all right, well, cool, whatever. Like, we're the same though. Like everyone's like the same. Like, there's no difference. Kind of like repeating something that he repeats to himself, because he like also had leaked out that he like had been in a like, probably like traumatizing uh event himself with being associated in the Empire and being enlisted in the Empire. And it leads off a little bit because there's some pirates, and it's like this starts this thing where it's like pretty much a runaway wagon or runaway train thing, but Bill Burr's or Mayfield's driving, and our Mandalorian like hops up on top with his crappy stormtrooper armor, and there's these pirates trying to throw a thermal grenade into the uh, supply of rhydonium. So it blows up, I don't. I'm not sure. It might have to do with the village, but it was like human people in the village, and now these are like clear, like different species, like humanoid aliens, like trying to like jump on and like they got these like little hover platforms with like a little like thruster on the back, and like trying to get their way on, but Din Djarin like fighting them off. It's pretty. It's a pretty good action scene, even though if I mention like a runaway train thing, I think it would be a little generic, but it's good because it has you like on your toes with them. It's like oh, like like clenching my bottom about it. Like every time like they like pull out one of the hatches and like almost puts the grenade into it. He takes out man, probably almost like 30 of these like aliens trying to like come in like, in groups of four on like five or six platforms, and eventually, for some reason, it has you rooting for the star destroyers that come in and like save the day after the Juggernaut 3 and Juggernaut 4 had blown up. There's just the Juggernaut 5 almost to the base, and then the Imperial ships, the starships that come in and like blow up all the now drastically numbered pirates to let the truck into the base finally. Like, there's all these like stormtroopers like yelling. He's like, yeah. It's like, oh, so uncomfortable right now. There's like, yeah, yeah, we are you with you guys. I mean, it is pretty obvious. We all have personalities. I'm not in charge either, so that should have been a big tip off. He was like driving like all these like stormtroopers saluting and jeering him on. It's like yeah, and then we wouldn't get to see too much of the base before there was like oh yeah, there's the mess hall. It's like there's terminal. It's like oh, and there's someone who might recognize me. It's like sorry, we gotta go. Yeah, it's like no, we're here for this, and I will lose a Grogu if we don't get this now. It's like give me the data stick. It's like give me no. It's like damn it. It's like, okay. And then it kind of looks like because there was like suspicious behavior, but there's a superior officer. Like you find out later, like he was just being a not nice person. Uh, he tries to confront Din Djarin to just like put him at to take him out of ease, but he gets the data. It's like a little hectic moment for him. He's like, oh, and then Mayfield finally comes up, even though he said he wasn't going to. He's like, oh yeah, he can't hear. Like, he called him brown eyes. And I was like, it's it was because he was doing something suspicious. He's like, oh yeah, aren't you the two that brought the only shipment back? Like, yeah, that was us. Well, let's go. It's like no, like come sit down. We're gonna have a celebration drink. It's like, oh, they're all like stiffly like at the table, just like drink. It's like yeah, for it. Great. So, are you an asshole? Like, he says something, but, like, just the general, like, feel of, like, everything going across from one person to another is, like, the superior officer is like, why do you think you're better than me? It's like looking at Pedro Pascal, and he's just like, he's always about to say something, and Mayfield's like, cutting in. It's like, hey, no, no, no. Like, you know what? Let's toast to Burn Conan. Like, oh, Burn Conan. That's one of my favorite things that happened. Like, oh yeah, that would be it. But it was like, gotta make a lot of tough decisions like that. And then it's like, yeah, like, all that stuff, and all those mud skippers or scuffers, gone. Like, almost the whole place. The whole place, actually. It's like, what do you gotta say about that? It's like, they freaking need the Empire. Like, they need to get checked. Like, they think they could just, like, go around there, like, just without us. Like, this needs to happen. Like, the new Empire's not gonna last. And then all of a sudden, Bill Burr pulls out a blaster and he's like laid out on the ground, and he's like, oh, and there's like some dude with a tray and a cup. Oh, well, you're getting shot too. You are. And then pretty much they take out as many as they can before, as they're coming up with an escape plan, and they like knock out one of the windows and start like climbing the building, which conveniently has like some scaffolding they could grab onto and like ascend to the roof. Where Cara Dune and Fennec are like surveying and then backing them up on. They take out this little turret thing. They like almost justifiably like take out all these like stormtroopers like chasing after them. It's like another one of those moments like after like the swell of pirates almost came to swarm the, the truck, and they were just like, all right, well, I guess we're gonna like uh go out with a bang. But it's just like, yeah, it's just one of those moments I can't even like contextualize without you just like seeing it with me. But they were taking out all these like stormtroopers, and Boba Fett comes in with the escape ship. It's like, which by the way is like really like focused on takeoff. Like, you see him and he's like in his ship, but he's like basically like laying down. Like, like I know like he's in a chair, but like he's about to take off, like blast off, like a rocket. But that's just a nitpick on the design. He's like, I still miss the Razor Crest. uh, rip, rip the Razor Crest. R.I.P. But they make it out, and then the ramps lowered to let in Mayfield and Din Djarin. But Mayfield's like, "Hey, give me that rifle over there." Like, and then he leaves a better mark on that base to uh just remind them of things like that. A not so clean, not so fair, like scorch mark on there. And yeah, everyone's leaving pretty like relaxed, I guess. I would hate to say because there's like all this like destruction, like mayhem with people not really making it out and back to their families, but it is a action show. Uh, but yeah, there's some Tie fighters. Well, I don't know what I said earlier, but Tie fighters chase after Boba Fett ships, and they get hit with like a neutrino bomb or something. It's like a little blue thing. It's kind of looks like the Allspark, but it like blows up in like a blue, light blue lightning colored uh, ring explosion that takes out the two Tie fighters from chasing them down, which was pretty cool effect. It's like clean explosion. But then they're back on the ground to pick up Fennec and Cara Dune, just somewhere in the jungle planet. And then Cara Dune's like, "That was some good shooting, but it's too bad you didn't make it out." Like, see, Mayfield didn't make it out from this thing we were doing. It's like, yeah, too bad. It's like, does that mean I get to leave? It's like, and he just starts like inching away. He's like, oh, okay, well. It's like, okay, cool. I'm glad Mayfield or Bill Burr's character didn't die, just because it seemed like he like really like enjoyed this, even though it's like, oh, we can only put you in like maybe like once a season, like if that. It's like 2 episodes, fine. Like it's great. Only if I think of something, I'll bring it back up. But yeah, and then the episode ends out with Din Djarin back in his armor, like making a hollow call to Moff Gideon. It's like I'm coming to get Grogu, and he's like, he means more to me than you would think. But he kind of says it like Sidious a little bit, like he's gonna like use his like force powers like to rule the galaxy. But he's obviously like, yo, you got my kid. Like it's over, dude. Like I will see you in a minute. And then it ends with Moff Gideon not getting to do one of his like signature poses, but we all know like this next episode is like the last episode of the season, so it's gonna be pretty high value, we'll say. Yeah, good talk. The last episode for this season, the is chapter 16 of The Rescue. This is Sleep Atomic, and I'm Alistair. And if no one's look good, and it should.